Beginning May 2019, U.S. Figure Skating will have the following permanent committees. 1. Adult Skating 15. International Selections. 2. Athletes Advisory 16. Membership. 3. Audit 17. Memorial Fund. 4. Coaches 18. Officials Recruitment and Training. 5. Compensation 19. Pairs Development and Technical. 6. Competitions 20. Programs and New Program Development. 7. Dance Development and Technical 21. Rules. 8. Domestic Officials 22. Safe Sport. 9. Domestic Selections 23. Singles Development and Technical. 10. Ethics 24. Sports Sciences and Medicine. 11. Finance 25. Strategic Planning. 12. Grievance 26. Synchronized Development and Technical. 13. International 27. Tests. 14. International Officials. Section 2 Committee Groups. Through April 2019, U.S. Figure Skating Committees are organized into 4 committee groups. Group 1. Athlete Services, Athlete Development, Athletes Advisory, Coaches, International, Memorial Fund and Sports Sciences and Medicine. Group 2, Membership Development, Collegiate Program, Membership, Parents, Program Development, Special Olympics / Therapeutic Skating and State Games. Group 3, Technical, Adult Skating, Competitions, Dance, International Judges, and Officials, Judges, Pairs, Selections, Singles. Synchronized Skating, Technical Panel, Tests, and Theatrical Skating. Group 4, Administrative / Legal, Audit, Compensation, Ethics, Finance, Grievance, Rules, Safe Sport, Sanctions, and Eligibility. And Strategic Planning. Coordinators of each committee group are nominated by the nominating committee and presented to the Governing Council for election. Beginning May 2019, U.S. Figure Skating Committees will be organized into 5 committee groups. Group 1, Athlete Services, Athletes Advisory, Coaches, Dance Development, and Technical, Memorial Fund, Pairs Development and Technical, Singles Development and Technical, Sports Sciences and Medicine and Synchronized Development and Technical. Group 2, Membership Development, Adult Skating, Membership, and Programs and New Program Development. Group 3, Technical and Officials, Competitions, Domestic Officials, Domestic Selections, Officials Recruitment, and Training. And Tests. Group 4, Administrative / Legal, Audit, Compensation, Ethics, Finance, Grievance, Rules, Safe Sport, and Strategic Planning. Group 5, International, International Officials, and International Selections. Coordinators of Groups 1-4 are nominated by the nominating committee and presented to the Governing Council for election. The ISU representative will serve as coordinator of Group 5, while remaining an ex officio member of the Board of Directors. Section 3 Special and Ad Hoc Committees. The President, with the concurrence of the Board of Directors, may from time to time designate and appoint or abolish special and ad hoc committees and chairs thereof and special offices and officers, each with such duties as may be determined from time to time by the Board of Directors, or by the President with the concurrence of the Board of Directors. The chairs of special and ad hoc committees and any officers appointed pursuant to this section may, upon the invitation of the President, attend meetings of the Board of Directors and, when present, may be accorded the privilege of speaking. Article 17. Duties and jurisdiction of permanent committees and the nominating committee. Section 1 Jurisdiction of committees. Each permanent committee, subject to the provisions of the official rules of U.S. Figure Skating and to the control of the Board of Directors, and the nominating committee, has jurisdiction of all matters as defined in the committee rules of such committee. Section 2 Enforcement of Official Rules. Each permanent committee and the nominating committee has the duty and power of enforcing and carrying out the official rules which relate to the matters within its jurisdiction. Section 3 Formulation of Rules. Each permanent committee and the nominating committee has the duty of formulating rules for the matters within its jurisdiction and of keeping said rules current and up to date. Any rule changes so formulated will be submitted to the Board of Directors for action, and no rules or changes will be effective until approved and published as provided in Article 20 of these bylaws. Section 4 Reports of Action. All actions of all committees will be reported to the Board of Directors and to the Governing Council at the next ensuing meetings thereof and are subject to alteration or cancellation by the Board of Directors or by the Governing Council, provided that no rights or acts of third parties will be adversely affected thereby. Article 18. Composition of Permanent Committees. Section 1 General Provisions. Each permanent committee will consist of no fewer than 9 voting members, with the exception of the Audit Committee, the Compensation Committee, the Finance Committee, the Grievance Committee and the Strategic Planning Committee, which will be of such size as specified in Section 2 of this article. B. The members insofar as practical will be evenly divided among the 3 sections. C. Chairs of permanent committees, except the Athletes Advisory Committee, the Audit Committee, the Finance Committee and the Strategic Planning Committee, will be appointed annually by the President upon the recommendation of the nominating committee. Each chair will hold office for 1 year from the conclusion of the annual meeting of the Governing Council or until their respective successors are appointed and assume office, with the exception of the chair of the Finance Committee. The chair of a permanent committee may be removed by the President with the concurrence of the Board of Directors. D. The members of permanent committees, except the Audit Committee, Compensation Committee, Finance Committee, Grievance Committee and Strategic Planning Committee, will be appointed annually by their chairs to hold office for 1 year or until their successors are appointed and assume office. Said chairs may remove such members with the concurrence of the President. E. The chairs and all members of permanent committees must be I. At least 18 years of age. 2. A registered member in good standing of U.S. figure skating, and 3. Otherwise qualified to serve in accordance with the official rules of U.S. figure skating. F. Athlete representation. At least 20% of all committees, subcommittees, task forces and all other types of legislative bodies, whether permanent, special, ad hoc or otherwise, will consist of individuals who are athletes as defined in Article 22. G. Ex officio members. Unless a bylaw or official rule provides otherwise, ex officio members may vote but are not counted in determining the number required for a quorum or whether a quorum is present at a meeting. Section 2 Specific Committee Provisions. The following committees will be composed as indicated, and all members of such committees will hold office for 1 year from the conclusion of the annual meeting of the Governing Council for that year or until their respective successors are appointed and assume office. A. The Audit Committee consists of at least 3 and not more than 5 members, a majority of whom are not members of the Board of Directors. The President appoints the members with the approval of the Board of Directors. Each member must I. Be free of any material relationship that would interfere with the exercise of their independent judgment and 2. Meet any other requirements for independence, expertise or qualifications set forth in the Audit Committee rules or policies and procedures established by and for the Audit Committee. 3. The members of the Audit Committee designate the chair of the committee. B. The Compensation Committee consists of at least 3 and not more than 5 members, all of whom are members of the Board of Directors. The President appoints the members, with the approval of the Board of Directors. Each member must I. be free of any material relationship that would interfere with the exercise of their independent judgment, and 2. Meet any qualifications set forth in the Compensation Committee rules or policies and procedures established by and for the Compensation Committee. 3. The President will appoint the Chair of the Compensation Committee. C. The Finance Committee consists of I. The Treasurer, who serves as Chair of the Committee. 2. The immediate past Treasurer, and 3. 6 members appointed by the Chair for their financial business experience. 4. The Executive Director, the Chair of the Strategic Planning Committee, and the Controller of U.S. Figure Skating will be ex officio members of the Finance Committee. D. The Grievance Committee will constitute the member pool from which at least 2/3 of the members of any hearing panel will be drawn. Each year 1/3 of the committee will be appointed for a 3-year term. The committee consists of I. A chair annually appointed by the President, and 2. 34 members appointed for 3-year terms as follows. A. 3 U.S. figure skating members from each region appointed by the appropriate sectional vice president, and B. 7 athletes as defined in Article 22 appointed by the chair of the Athletes Advisory Committee, herein called athlete members of the Grievance Committee. Effective May 2019, the Strategic Planning Committee consists of I. The President, or their designee, the Executive Director, or their designee, the 3 Vice Presidents, the Chair of the Athlete Advisory Committee, and 1 coaching representative of the Board of Directors, appointed by the President. 2. An additional athlete member of the Board of Directors, appointed by the Chair of the Athletes Advisory Committee. 3. 4 additional members, including 1 athlete, will be appointed by majority vote of the Vice Presidents, for their experience in issues relevant to the current environment. 4. The members of the Strategic Planning Committee designate the chair of the committee. Article 19. U.S. Figure Skating Memorial Fund. Section 1. Establishment of Fund. There is hereby established within U.S. Figure Skating a special fund which may be referred to as the U.S. Figure Skating Memorial Fund. A. Pursuant to its Articles of Incorporation dated January 14, 2000, the U.S. Figure Skating Foundation has the responsibility for management and investment of the U.S. Figure Skating Memorial Fund, which is held as a special and separate fund within the U.S. Figure Skating Foundation. B. The fund is to be promoted by the activities of the Memorial Fund Committee described in the Memorial Fund Committee rules. Section 2. Purpose of Fund. The primary purpose of the U.S. Figure Skating Memorial Fund is to memorialize in a manner that would be of assistance to future aspiring figure skaters the 1961 United States World Figure Skating Team, coaches and officials who lost their lives in the tragic crash of their airplane near Brussels, Belgium, on February 15, 1961, while en route to the World Championships in Prague, Czechoslovakia. Section 3. Receipt of property. A. U.S. figure skating will receive, accept, take, hold, deal with, disperse and dispose of all property given, transferred, conveyed, devised or bequeathed to the U.S. Figure Skating Memorial Fund only in the manner hereinafter authorized and only for the objects, purposes and uses specified in Article 2 of these bylaws. B. Contributions to the U.S. Figure Skating Memorial Fund may be received I. in the memory of a specific person. 2. as an unrestricted gift, or 3. as a restricted gift, subject to IRS rules and regulations, for the use and benefit of such worthy skaters as U.S. Figure Skating Member Club or clubs specified by the donor may from time to time select through action of their governing boards. However, restricted gifts may be subject to a 10% contribution to the general funds of U.S. Figure Skating to cover administrative costs and to promote the general purposes of the U.S. Figure Skating Memorial Fund. Section 4. Memorial Fund Scholarships. The Memorial Fund Committee may award scholarships to assist deserving figure skaters who are in need of financial assistance in order to continue their achievement in competitive figure skating and/or to obtain a college or university education. A. By paying to or for the benefit of such skaters the cost of all or any part of the expenses incurred for coaching, ice time, travel to qualifying competitions, skates, competition skating attire and the like, and/or tuition, board and lodging while attending the colleges or universities of their choice. B. Race, color, religion, age, gender, gender identity, sexual orientation, national origin, or any other status protected by federal, state or local law, where applicable, will not be considered in the selection of recipients for such awards. Section 5 Applications Procedures. A. The U.S. Figure Skating Memorial Fund Committee will establish procedures, rules and regulations governing the receipt and review of applications for academic and skating scholarships and the designation of those applicants who are to receive such scholarships in order to ensure that the scholarships are properly granted and used. B. The Memorial Fund Committee may establish such criteria and eligibility standards and adopt such application forms and reports to aid them in determining those applicants who are promising and deserving recipients of awards of scholarships, in allocating the same from the funds available for such purposes, and ensuring that such awards are properly made and used. Consistent with this article. Section 6 Internal Procedures and Accounting. A. U.S. Figure Skating will adopt and employ such internal administrative procedures and accounting methods as may be necessary and appropriate to carry out the goals and objectives of Section 4 and Section 5 of this article. B. Such procedures and methods include: I. The creation and use of banking and investment accounts for the U.S. Figure Skating Memorial Fund separate from those of U.S. Figure Skating, and 2. Other means sufficient to prevent the commingling of the funds and property of the U.S. Figure Skating Memorial Fund with the general funds and property of U.S. Figure Skating. Article 20. Official Rules. Section 1 Rules and Regulations. A. The Governing Council, and in the intervals between meetings of the Governing Council, the Board of Directors may adopt, publish, enforce and change rules and regulations consistent with the provisions of these bylaws for the regulation and carrying out of the purposes, government and management of the affairs of U.S. figure skating. B. Such rules and regulations entitled Official Rules of U.S. Figure Skating I. may be adopted by either body on its own motion or as a result of reports of one or more of the committees specified in Article 16, Sections 1 and 4 of these bylaws, and 2. are published in such manner and become effective at such time as is provided in Section 3 of this article. C. In the absence of such rules and regulations, the powers and duties of carrying out the purposes, government and management of the affairs of U.S. figure skating remain vested in the Governing Council and Board of Directors as herein provided. Section 2 Publication of Rulebook, Contents. U.S. Figure Skating will publish each year, by July 1, an annual rulebook containing the bylaws, the official rules of U.S. figure skating and such other matters as may from time to time be determined by the Board of Directors. Section 3 Effectiveness. Such rules and regulations or any amendments thereto become effective on July 1 each year or upon such specific date as may otherwise be stated in the motion of adoption thereof. Article 21. Prerequisites to participation in U.S. figure skating activities. Prerequisites. Any person who is a member in good standing of a member club, collegiate club or an honorary or individual member and is registered with U.S. figure skating and is otherwise eligible to do so in accordance with the official rules of U.S. figure Skating has the opportunity to participate in the activities of U.S. figure skating, including but not limited to I. The opportunity to compete in competitions, take tests and participate in ice shows and exhibitions sponsored by U.S. figure skating, and 2. The opportunity to serve as an officer, a director or committee member or as an official in figure skating. B. U.S. figure skating does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, age, gender, gender identity, sexual orientation, national origin, or any other status protected by federal, state or local law, where applicable. C. As a condition of membership in U.S. figure skating and a condition for participation in any competition or event sanctioned by U.S. figure skating or its member clubs, each member and each athlete, coach, team staff, official and any other person who participates in U.S. figure skating or U.S. figure skating events, whether or not a U.S. figure skating member, agrees to comply with and be bound by the safe sport rules, policies and procedures of the U.S. Center for Safe Sport and agrees to submit, without reservation or condition, to the jurisdiction of the U.S. Center for Safe Sport for the resolution of any alleged violations of those rules, policies and procedures, as may be amended from time to time, to the extent any U.S. figure skating rule is inconsistent with the rules of the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, such rule is superseded. Article 22. Definition of athlete. Section 1 Definition of athlete. For all purposes set forth in these bylaws or the official rules of U.S. figure skating, an athlete is defined as a member meeting the prerequisites of Article 21 of these bylaws and any person who has competed in a sectional championship in singles, pairs or ice stance in a qualifying event, or U.S. figure skating championships, the U.S. Junior Figure Skating Championships or the U.S. Synchronized Skating Championships during the prior 5 years, or B. Any person who has placed first through fourth in singles, pairs or ice stance in the U.S. Collegiate Figure Skating Championships or the U.S. Adult Figure Skating Championships during the prior 5 years, or C. Any person who has competed for U.S. figure skating as a member of the U.S. figure skating team as defined in ICR 3.04 and ICR 5.06 within the prior 10 years. Section 2 Athlete service on U.S. figure skating bodies. An athlete who is elected, selected or appointed for service as an athlete delegate to the Governing Council, on the Athletes Advisory Committee, Board of Directors, Nominating Committee, International Committee, International Committee Management Subcommittee, Synchronized Management Subcommittee or Selections Committee must have competed in either A. A championship, senior, or junior event at the most recent U.S. Figure Skating Championships or U.S. Synchronized Skating Championships, or B. An international competition as defined in Section 1(c) of this Article 22, within the 10 years preceding election. Article 23. Registration. Section 1 Registration requirement generally. A. A registered member is a person registered in accordance with this article who is a member of a member club, a collegiate club, an individual member or an honorary member. B. Every officer, committee member and member of the board of directors and every delegate to the governing council, every referee, judge and accountant or other official in figure skating, and figure skaters who are members of a member club, collegiate club, or an honorary or individual member are to be registered annually with U.S. figure skating. Section 2 Registration procedure. A member clubs and collegiate clubs are responsible for I. The collection of registration fees from their members. 2. The issuance of registration cards thereto, and 3. The submission of lists of their registered members together with the amount of the fees therefor to U.S. figure skating B. Registration of individual members is in accordance with, and the annual fee is to be included in, the dues collected pursuant to the membership rules. Section 3. Registration cards. Registration cards are valid from July 1st of a year, and the month immediately prior, through June 30 of the following year and renewable before July 31st of that following year. Section 4. Registration monies. All monies received from registration fees become part of the general funds of U.S. Figure Skating. Article 24. Resignations. Any member club, collegiate club, school-affiliated member or synchronized skating, theater on ice team member may resign from U.S. Figure Skating after payment of all dues and other fees then due, including those for the fiscal year in which the resignation is tendered, by mailing written notice of resignation to U.S. Figure Skating Headquarters. Article 25. Grievance and disciplinary proceedings. Section 1. Grievance and disciplinary proceedings. All grievance and disciplinary procedures must be filed and resolved pursuant to the procedures outlined in this section and in the Grievance Committee Rules and Ethics Committee Rules. The forms and instructions for filing a grievance are available from U.S. Figure Skating Headquarters upon request of a member or member club. A. Grievance proceedings, except for matters subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S. Center for Safe Sport under Section 4 of this article. I. Scope. A. Any U.S. Figure Skating member or member club aggrieved or harmed by the alleged violation of a U.S. Figure Skating bylaw or rule by any other U.S. Figure Skating member or member club may bring a grievance citing the alleged violation of the U.S. Figure Skating bylaw or rule. B. The member or member club must be a member in good standing both at the time the grievance is filed and at the time of the alleged violation of the U.S. Figure Skating bylaw or rule. C. Such grievance must include the allegation that violation of a specific U.S. Figure Skating bylaw or rule caused harm to the grievant. 2. Time period. A grievance must be filed A. Within 60 days of the occurrence of the alleged violation, or B. Within 60 days of the discovery of the alleged violation, or C. In the case of a minor, within 60 days after the minor's 18th birthday, whichever is later. 3. Requirements. The specific grievance statement, filing requirements and hearing procedure guidelines for a grievance that proceeds under Section 3A, are found in the Grievance Committee Rules, GCR. B. Disciplinary proceedings, except for matters subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S. Center for Safe Sport under Section 4 of this article. I. Scope. A Vice President, by referral to the Chair of the Ethics Committee, or the Chair of the Ethics Committee, after a referral by a Vice President, or the Chair of the Grievance Committee pursuant to applicable Grievance Committee or Ethics Committee rules, may initiate disciplinary proceedings as to any matter arising under GR 1.01, GR 1.02 or GR 1.03. 2. Review. Upon referral of the matter by a Vice President or the Chair of the Grievance Committee, the Chair of the Ethics Committee has 30 days to review the matter. A. If the Chair of the Ethics Committee determines that further proceedings are not warranted, the Chair of the Ethics Committee will so advise, in writing, the person initiating the disciplinary proceeding and the persons, if any, who filed the complaint or grievance. B. If the Chair of the Ethics Committee determines that further proceedings are warranted, the Chair of the Ethics Committee will so advise, in writing, the person initiating the disciplinary proceeding and indicate either 1. That such person or the persons, if any, who filed the complaint or grievance may file a grievance statement, in which case the person who files the grievance statement will be the grievant, or 2. Alternatively, and at the discretion of the Chair of the Ethics Committee, that the Chair of the Ethics Committee has decided to file a grievance statement, in which case U.S. figure skating will be the grievant with the chair of the Ethics Committee acting on behalf of U.S. figure skating. 3. The specific grievance statement filing requirements and hearing procedure guidelines for a disciplinary proceeding under this Section 3(b) are found in the Ethics Committee Rules, ECR. See Appeal from regular grievance or disciplinary proceedings, except for matters subject to the jurisdiction of the U.S. Center for Safe Sport under Section 4 of this article. For appeals from expedited hearings, refer to this Article 25, Section 1(d) of the U.S. Figure Skating Bylaws and the Grievance Committee Rules, GCR. I. The Appellate Panel. The Appellate Panel consists of 3 persons appointed by the Chair of the Grievance Committee, with the approval of the President, for a 1-year term. A. One appointed member must be an athlete, and all members of the Appellate Panel must meet one of the following qualifications. 1. Member of the Board of Directors within the 10 years prior to the appointment, but is not currently a member of the Board. 2. Chair of either the Ethics or Grievance Committee within the 10 years prior to the appointment, but is not currently serving as Ethics or Grievance Committee Chair, or 3. An attorney licensed to practice in any state. B. If one or more of the appointed persons has a conflict of interest or was the referring Vice President or Chair of the Ethics or Grievance Committee when the grievance was first filed, or served in any such capacity while the grievance was pending, a substitute panelist will be appointed by the Chair of the Grievance Committee, with the approval of the President, to serve for that appeal. The substitute panelist must meet the same qualifications as the appellate panel member. C. An appellate panel will retain jurisdiction of any appeal that is filed during its 1-year term. 2. Notice of appeal. A. Either the grievant or the respondent may appeal the decision of the hearing panel for either a grievance or disciplinary matter to the appellate panel by filing a written notice of appeal, including statement of the grounds for such appeal, with the Chair of the Grievance Committee within 30 days of the receipt of the hearing panel's decision. B. Upon receiving written notice of appeal, the Chair of the Grievance Committee will promptly notify, in writing, and deliver a copy of the notice of appeal to the members of the appellate panel, the Chair of the hearing panel and all other parties to the proceeding. C. Other parties to the proceeding may, within 10 days of receipt of the notice of appeal, submit a written statement in response to the appeal. Such statement must be delivered to all other parties to the proceeding and the Chair of the Grievance Committee. D. The Chair of the hearing panel must promptly deliver the record of the hearing to the U.S. Figure Skating Secretary and the Administrative, Legal Group Coordinator after receipt of the notice of appeal. 3. Appeal Guidelines. A. An appeal of a decision of a hearing panel will be based solely upon an allegation that such panel acted erroneously, and must include the allegation that the hearing panel incorrectly interpreted or applied the applicable U.S. figure skating bylaws or rules, or erred in the analysis of such bylaws or rules as applied to the facts at hand. B. The appellate panel's decision on the appeal must be based solely on the record of the hearing delivered by the hearing panel. No new evidence may be presented. C. The appellate panel members will each receive a copy of the record of the hearing and, within 30 days of receipt of the record of hearing, the appellate panel will meet in person or by telephone conference call to review the appeal. 4. Appellate panel's decision. A. The appellate panel will issue its written decision within 10 days of the conclusion of its meeting pursuant to Section 3, C3, of Article 25. B. The decision will be delivered to the parties to the proceeding and to the Chair of the Grievance Committee. C. The decision of the appellate panel will be final on its terms, unless the decision involves a matter that is subject to being submitted to arbitration as described in Section 3, CV, of Article 25. V. Arbitration. A. If the decision of the appellate panel arises from a controversy involving recognition of U.S. figure skating as a national governing body or involves the opportunity of any eligible athlete, coach, trainer, manager, administrator or official to participate in athletic competition as protected by the USFSA bylaws, upon demand of the affected person. The decision of the appellate panel may be submitted to arbitration in accordance with applicable provisions of the USFSA bylaws and the rules of the American Arbitration Association. B. Such arbitration will be conducted at the office of the American Arbitration Association nearest to the headquarters of U.S. figure skating unless the parties otherwise agree. C. The decision of the American Arbitration Association and any charges of the arbitrator will be borne by the party against whom the decision of the arbitrator is rendered except as otherwise agreed by the parties. D. Expedited proceedings. I. Notwithstanding any other provisions of the U.S. figure skating bylaws or rules to the contrary, when compliance with regular procedures contained in this Section 3 would not, in the discretion of the chair of the grievance committee, be likely to produce a sufficiently early decision to do justice to the affected parties, including, but not limited to matters affecting an ongoing, scheduled or impending U.S. figure skating qualifying competition or any competition protected by the USFSA bylaws or the Ted Stevens Olympic and Amateur Sports Act, the matter may be summarily heard and decided on an expedited basis in accordance with provisions of applicable U.S. Figure Skating Grievance Committee rules, GCR. 2. The member or member club subject to an expedited grievance or disciplinary proceeding must be given such notice and opportunity for a hearing as time and circumstances may reasonably dictate within the discretion of the chair of the grievance committee. 3. Expedited hearings may be conducted at the site of the athletic competition, at a site convenient to the parties as designated by the chair of the grievance committee or by telephone conference if necessary. 4. Appeals from decisions heard on an expedited basis will be taken only in accordance with the procedures set forth in the Grievance Committee Rules, GCR, for expedited hearings. Section 2. Safe sport, sexual abuse or misconduct. A. As a member national governing body, NGB, of the United States Olympic Committee, USOC, U.S. figure skating is required to adhere to the safe sport rules and regulations of the USFSA. Additionally, USFSA bylaw Section 8.7L provides that, as a condition of membership in the USFSA, each NGB must comply with the policies and procedures of the independent safe sport organization designated by the USFSA to investigate and resolve safe sport violations. The USFSA has designated the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, USFSA, as that organization. The current safe sport rules, policies and procedures are available at the offices of U.S. Figure Skating or online at the following websites: www.usfigureskating.org or www.safesport.org. B. The investigation and adjudication of matters involving allegations or reports of sexual abuse or misconduct, or other violations of U.S. figure skating safe sport policies that involve prohibited conduct that is reasonably related to and accompanies an alleged violation involving sexualized behavior. C. GR 1.03, U.S. Figure Skating Policy Statement on Harassment and Abuse, and the current edition of the U.S. Figure Skating Safe Sport Program Handbook, are subject to the jurisdiction of the USFSA in accordance with the requirements of the USFSA and as set forth in the USFSA bylaws or other USFSA governing documents. Rules and procedures to be followed by U.S. figure skating and its members and member clubs in dealing with allegations or reports of sexual abuse or misconduct, or other violations of U.S. figure skating's safe sport policies that fall within the jurisdiction of the USFSA. and the enforcement of discipline or other sanctions issued by the USFSA are set forth in the applicable safe sport policies and disciplinary procedures of the USFSA, GR 1.03 and/or other rules of U.S. figure skating. Article 26. Indemnification. Section 1. Indemnification. Generally, U.S. figure skating declares that any person who serves at its request as an officer, employee, member of the governing council, member or agent of the board of directors, chair or member of any U.S. figure skating committee, or as an elected or appointed official of U.S. figure skating is, in such capacity, subject to indemnification under the provisions of this article in accordance with N2. The fullest extent permitted by the provisions of the Colorado Revised Nonprofit Corporation Act, as hereafter amended from time to time, and the corresponding provisions of any subsequent law, for purposes of this article referred to as the Act, and the indemnification provisions of which are incorporated herein by this reference. B. Any such person will be indemnified by or on behalf of U.S. figure skating against expenses, including attorney's fees, liability, judgments, fines and amounts paid in settlement actually and reasonably incurred by such person who is or is a party, or is threatened to be made a party, to any threatened, pending or completed action, suit or proceeding, whether civil, criminal, administrative or investigative, other than an action by or in the right of U.S. figure skating, by reason of such service if such person I. acted in good faith. 2. Reasonably believed, in the case of conduct in an official capacity with U.S. figure skating, that the conduct was in the best interests of U.S. figure skating and, in all other cases, that the conduct was at least not opposed to the best interests of U.S. figure skating, and 3. With respect to any criminal proceeding, had no reasonable cause to believe that the conduct was unlawful. Section 2. Prohibited indemnification. No person will be entitled to indemnification under Section 1 of this article either a. in connection with a proceeding brought by or in the right of U.S. figure skating in which such person was adjudged liable to U.S. figure skating, or b. in connection with any other proceeding charging improper personal benefit to such person, whether or not involving action in that person's official capacity, in which such person is ultimately adjudged liable on the basis that the person improperly received personal benefit. Section 3. Determination of right to indemnification. A. Any indemnification under Section 1 of this article will be made by U.S. figure skating only as authorized in each specific case upon a determination that indemnification of the person is permissible under the circumstances because such person met the applicable standard of conduct set forth in Section 1. B. Such determination will be made by the Board of Directors by a majority of a quorum of disinterested directors who, at the time of the vote, were not and are not threatened to be made parties to the proceeding or, if such a quorum cannot be obtained, in a manner otherwise prescribed by the Act. C. Notwithstanding the prohibitions on indemnification set forth in Section 2 of this article, indemnification may be made by U.S. figure skating to the extent that the court in which the subject action or proceeding was brought should determine upon application that, despite the adjudication of liability or guilt, but in view of all the circumstances of the case, a person referred to in Section 1 of this article is entitled to indemnity for such expenses and other amounts which the court may deem proper. Section 4. Insurance. The Board of Directors may exercise U.S. figure skating's power to purchase and maintain insurance, including, without limitation, insurance for legal expenses and costs incurred in connection with defending any claim, proceeding, or lawsuit, on behalf of any person referred to in Section 1 of this article against any liability asserted against or incurred by such person in the capacity designated or arising out of the person's status as such, whether or not U.S. figure skating would have the power to indemnify that person against such liability under the provisions of this article. Section 5 Survival of Indemnification. The indemnification provided under Section 1 of this article will continue as to persons who have ceased to serve in the capacity designated with respect to actions in their official capacity while serving as such and will inure to the benefit of their heirs, executors and administrators. Article 27. Disposition of assets. A sale, lease, exchange, mortgage, pledge or other disposition of property or assets of U.S. figure skating may be made by the Board of Directors upon such terms and conditions and for such consideration, which may consist in whole or in part of money or property, real or personal, as may be authorized by them, provided, however, a. that a sale, lease, exchange or other disposition of all or substantially all the property and assets will be authorized only upon receiving the vote of a majority of the members of the Board of Directors, and b. further provided that such disposition is not inconsistent with the provisions of Article 28 of these bylaws or the Articles of Incorporation of U.S. figure skating, as amended from time to time. Article 28. Dissolution. In the event of the dissolution of U.S. figure skating for any reason, all of its assets and property will be distributed or sold, and the proceeds thereof distributed, to the organization which will be a successor to U.S. figure skating, provided that a such organization will first have obtained a ruling exempting it from federal income taxation under Section 501A of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986, as amended, or under the corresponding provisions of any subsequent federal tax laws, the Code, as an organization of the type described in Section 501c(3) of the Code, or b. if such successor organization has not obtained such ruling within a reasonable time following its establishment, or if there will be no successor to U.S. figure skating, then all of U.S. figure skating's assets and property will be distributed or sold, and the proceeds thereof distributed to or among such one or more organizations as may be selected by the governing council as organizations having objects and purposes similar or related to those of U.S. figure skating, provided that I. no distributions will be made to an organization which does not have a ruling exempting such organization from federal income taxation as described in subsections A and B of this article, and 2. in no event will any part of such assets or property, or the proceeds of sale thereof, be distributed to or inure to the benefit of any member or of any individual. C. The procedure for dissolution will be as provided by and in the Colorado Revised Nonprofit Corporation Act, as amended from time to time, and the corresponding provisions of any subsequent law. Article 29. Amendments to bylaws. Section 1 Procedure for amendments. Amendments proposed to these bylaws may be acted upon at any annual or special meeting of the Governing Council, provided that the notice of the meeting states the specific text of the proposed amendments. Section 2 Effective date. Amendments to these bylaws become effective only upon publication in an edition of the Rulebook or upon such specific date as may otherwise be stated in the motion of adoption thereof. Section 3 Necessary vote. The affirmative vote of 2/3 of the votes cast of the Governing Council members present in person or by proxy at the meeting of the Governing Council at which the proposed amendment is acted upon is necessary for the adoption of any amendment to these bylaws.